All right, UG, United Night. It is happening. Students, I'm so happy that you're watching right now wherever you're at. Maybe you're in your living room, maybe you're watching with your parents, maybe you're not, maybe you're on your phone and you just saw this on Facebook. Parents, I'm glad you're here watching me drive and talk to you. And your student and leaders, I'm glad you're here too. Today was one of the craziest days for me as a youth pastor because today we told our church that I'm gonna be taking a step off of staff as the UG youth pastor. About a year ago next month, I went to Pastor D and told him about some of the things that God had put on Shannon and I's heart to be back closer to home in Tampa, Florida. And it was from that conversation that him and I started to pray and discuss what it would look like for me to go home. And over the past year, Shannon and I have been on a journey of trying to figure out what this next step looks like for us. Recently, God opened up the door for an opportunity for my wife to work her dream job in Tampa, Florida. And after a lot of prayer and counsel from mentors and friends, we've come to the conclusion that this is something that we have to do. And now the timing seems far from perfect. I mean, we're in the middle of an epidemic. Why in the world am I moving right now? I mean, honestly, God has a funny way of doing things sometimes. I think his timing is perfect, and it's time for us to take this step. And so tonight is my last United Night with you all. I really honestly wish that you could just be in the room with me today. So I'm just gonna have to talk to the camera and assume you're listening. So I encourage you to take notes, be active in the chat below. If you're new here, go to lifepointnow.com/connect and let us know that you're watching. But make sure to comment below how you're feeling throughout the message, anything that stands out to you. Make sure to be interacting with us in the chat section below. Guys, I'm excited for tonight. Let's go ahead and get started. What's up, UG? So glad you guys can be here with us. Welcome to United Night. If you don't know me, my name's Hayden. I'm the student pastor here at LifePoint Church. I'm so glad to, well, not see you tonight, but talk to you through a camera. Once again, in the midst of COVID-19, we're trying in any way possible just to connect with you. And so that might be just talking to a camera on our phone, or we're here at LifePoint Church right now, and I get the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Recently, we made a pretty big announcement. Me and Pastor Jeff just a few days ago talked to the church as a whole on Thursday about a decision that me and my wife have been pondering and praying through for the past year. We've been praying about going back home to Tampa, Florida, and taking an opportunity with her job and actually moving away from what's been home for us for the past 4 years here at LifePoint Church. And sadly, this is my last message to you. And so I'm so happy that you're joining us tonight and that you're a part of what we're doing tonight. And we've titled tonight Summer in Motion, and it really does feel that way, and it doesn't feel that way at the same time. I mean, for me and my wife, we're about to take a big step, and we're about to have a lot of motion in our lives, but this season for motion has been really, really strange. I mean, COVID-19 has lacked a lot of motion at all, if you can relate. I mean, I'd love to know in the comments below for any of you, like, what have you been doing during COVID-19? Have you been watching Netflix? Have you been on TikTok a lot? Have you been playing a lot of Fortnite? What hobbies have you picked up? Let me know in the comments below how you've been passing the time. But there hasn't really been a lot of motion in the midst of COVID-19. But me and my wife are right now getting geared up for a really big move in our lives. And tonight, what I want to do with you is I want to encourage you to do something tonight that I've been encouraging our students to do for the past 4 years. And I'm titling this message, and I'm encouraging you tonight to simply move. To simply move in your faith. I think right now in the midst of COVID-19, it's hard to move. It's really, really easy just to sit, to be still, and to watch everything that's happening around us. But for us to move, it's kind of daunting. It's kind of scary. Honestly, the whole world around us is not really moving at all. Some of us are waiting cautiously, and some of us are itching to move in our lives. But tonight, I don't even want to talk about us moving, like me and Shannon moving to Florida, or even you moving out of your house, but I want to talk to you directly about moving in your faith, taking a next step. That even in the midst of COVID-19 and the static culture that we're in right now, where we're sitting and we're not doing much, I want to challenge you to move. And first and foremost, I want to challenge you to move forwards, not backwards. I love what God's word says about movement in Philippians 3:13 through 14. It says this, "Brothers, I do not consider that I have made it my own, but one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead. I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus." See, Paul right there, he's speaking to the church of Philippi, and he's saying, I need to move forward in my faith. I can't look backwards. I need to move forward. And I don't know about you, and I don't know where you're coming from tonight, but maybe for some of you, the reason that COVID-19, it's been so hard for you to maybe move in your faith is because you maybe have never really moved before. Maybe taking a step in your faith, it's like, what does that even look like in the midst of COVID-19? I'm stuck in my house. I can't serve on a team at church. I can't really hang out with my small group or any friends. What does it look like for me to take a step in my relationship with God? And I want to challenge you tonight to move forwards, not backwards. I can think for me personally, I can think of so many times in my life where I look back at my relationship with God, and there's moments in my life that I don't want to go back to. And I can remember even some of the moments in my relationship with Jesus where I found myself struggling to move forward, taking moments to simply pause and to not move at all. I did this a lot in high school. There were seasons where my relationship with Jesus was thriving, where I was spending so much time with him every single morning, where I was praying to him, talking to him, going to church, volunteering with my youth group, volunteering at church, and taking steps after steps after steps. And then there were seasons in my life in high school and even going into college where I kind of put a pause on my relationship with Jesus. And maybe you can relate to that right now. Maybe you've recently taken quite a pause in your relationship with God. Maybe you've decided to say, hey, you know what? In the midst of COVID-19, I don't want to worry about Jesus or anything else. I just want to put my head down and make it through this thing. And maybe you haven't really given God much of a thought until tonight when you're sitting here talking to me. And while this might seem harmless and it might seem okay to press pause on the journey, can I encourage you, friend, not to do that tonight? Can I encourage you to go ahead and press play on your relationship with Jesus once again, because there is a problem with the pause. If you've ever heard me talk, I don't know if there's been a message where I haven't referenced this illustration, but I truly believe that our relationship with God is like walking upstream in a river. It's like walking upstream in a river, and the reality is when we stop walking upstream in a river, it's not like we can just stop and stay there. The river pushes us back and back and back, and we have to hike back up the stream in the river. And for some of us, we're pressing pause on our journey with Jesus, and we're saying, hey, I'll get back to Jesus later. I'll take Jesus seriously once again. When COVID-19's over, I'm gonna jump back into my small group. I'm gonna start serving with my church, and I'm gonna start even reading my Bible again. For some of you, you're going into college right now, and you're thinking about this fall, and you're thinking about the fraternity you want to rush for, or the sorority you want to rush for. Not bad at all, but you're thinking about jumping into the college scene, the party scene. You're like, man, I don't want to give up anything because of Jesus. You know what? I'm gonna press pause on my journey with Jesus, and I'll come back to him when I'm an adult, when I graduate college. I'm gonna have fun first, and then I'm gonna come back to Jesus. And if there's anything that the ministry of me and my wife to the students of LifePoint and to students in general is all about, it's about encouraging you not to press pause on your journey with Jesus. Because the reality is when you press pause on your journey with Jesus, you don't come back to that place when you come back. You've actually moved like a river pushing you backwards. You've moved backwards, not forwards. You find yourself looking up at 30 years old and you're like, okay, where did my relationship with God go? How do I even read my Bible once again? It's kind of weird talking to you again, God. I haven't talked to you since I was 18, 19, 20 years old. And the temptations of this world and conforming to the patterns of this world, as Romans talks about, it becomes very, very real for us. And it's really hard to go back where we were with Jesus when we've been pushed backwards, not forwards. And so tonight, I want to encourage you to move in your faith. to take even the smallest step right now in the midst of COVID-19. And I think for a lot of us, it's been really hard taking any steps in our faith during this time because we don't have anyone really pushing us. Maybe you're watching this right now and you've been stuck in the same room, it feels like, for the past 3-4 months. You haven't been around any of your friends other than just texting them and maybe seeing them on social media. You haven't been around your youth group. We haven't been able to gather. You haven't been around any of your friends from youth group. And so usually they're kind of pushing you towards what's next in your relationship with God. Someone's starting to serve, someone's joining a team, someone's jumping to this Bible verse or studying this book of the Bible, or just pushing you to take steps in your faith. The reality is the people around you push you so much in your relationship with God. And I know that's true for me as well. I've always wanted friends that would push me closer to Jesus, not further away. And in moments when I want to move in my relationship with God, it's usually because the people around me are moving closer and closer to Him. Because the truth is, you move as they move. You move as they move. I've said it 1 billion times, and I'll say it again to you tonight, that show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. The people you surround yourself with dictate the direction of your life. And I can urge you students right now, if there's anything I can tell you before I go, it's this: pick the right circle around you. Pick the right friends in your life, because you're gonna move as they move. You're gonna follow the cadence of your 5 closest friends. And maybe you're saying, I don't even have 5 friends, Hayden. Well, you're gonna follow the cadence of the people around you. You're gonna follow the cadence of the people you watch. You're gonna follow the cadence of the TV shows you absorb, the video games you play, the things you take in. You will assume the role of every vlogger you watch, every TikTok creator you watch, every movie character you're fascinated with. The people that you fill up your life with are the people you're going to look the most like. And so if you want to move in your relationship with Jesus, surround yourself with people moving with Jesus. And I've been so thankful for the friends I've had here at Life Point Church, the people I've been able to call family that have encouraged me to move in my relationship with God. I'd love for you to see just a small encounter that I had with some of them this week, and you to meet some of them right here that are on staff here at Life Point that have been moving me in my faith with Jesus. We played a game, Fortnite, you're familiar with it, and we played it this week, and I got to ask them some questions for you to get to know them better, so why don't you go ahead and check this out. What's up, UG? I'm here with Miss Caroline Baldwin. We're gonna do a little game. You've probably heard of it, Fortnite. Caroline is gonna answer some questions so you guys can get to know her. If you don't know Caroline, she's awesome, and yeah, let's go.
How do I kill somebody? Why do I only have an axe?
Battle Bus is launching, and the interview will begin in 5 seconds. Okay, first question, favorite cereal?
Okay, so I actually don't eat cereal on the regular, not because I don't like it, but just because I'm one of those people that can't commit to buying milk, you know what I'm saying? I don't often buy cereal. So, is that a shark? So Captain Crunch with berries, but I feel like that is an irresponsible cereal as an adult to like the best. But I don't eat it that much, I think it's fine.
Another question before you die. How did you get started in ministry?
So I decided to take my next step, and my next step was serving. I didn't grow up in church, so I'd never really been a part of a church before. Went to churches and all of that, but I never really was like a part of one until Life Point. I decided to, hey, another gun! I started serving in kids and fell in love with it. Hey, look, I'm a survivor.
You're about to die.
I'm about to die.
X to open it up.
Oh my gosh, look, it's a cool, what do I get to do? Am I going the right direction?
I think you're kind of done by this point, but you can run towards like a boat. You're
I'm
about to die. Hey, it's been great interviewing you right as you're about to die. Thank you so much for doing this and playing Fortnite. It might be your last time playing Fortnite.
Oh, I placed 18th.
You did place 18th. What is your favorite cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That's actually probably mine too. Favorite candy? Do you have a favorite candy?
I'm weird for this, but I love Almond Joys.
Almond Joys.
Not a popular candy. You go in the car.
Oh, you're already almost dead. Oh my gosh!
I did it, guys. What did I tell you? It was gonna be the fastest interview you had.
I did not expect that at all.
Came out of nowhere.
Have you won a battle royale before?
14.
You won 14?
Yeah.
But it's been a very long time. I'll probably die in about 5 minutes.
So when you jump, the interview will begin officially.
Okay.
All right, first question.
Yep, ready to go.
Favorite candy?
Favorite candy, Reese's peanut butter cups or Reese's peanut.
Dave said almond joy. What do you think about that?
I like almonds, but there could be someone below me and I don't
I'm
know
watching
about it.
that like
fall.
burn, honestly. All right, second question.
Yeah, second question. Let's do this.
Favorite cereal?
Probably Fruity Pebbles, but I just heard that there's a Fruity Pebbles with marshmallows.
Okay.
So that's the best for milk.
Wait, how do you say milk?
Milk.
Say it again.
Milk.
Did you say milk?
Milk.
I'm pretty sure you said milk.
Milk. All the same thing.
So there's
See if I can
39
remember.
people still playing. Now he's building a home. Speaking of homes, you just bought a house.
I did. I just bought a house. You're right.
Wow. Do you ever want to build your own house like you do in Fortnite? One day?
Maybe one day.
Why would you build a house when you can just buy one? How did you get started working in ministry? Tell us that story.
Yeah, so I've always loved youth, and youth was like my main thing for a long time. As a kid, I even that's all I wanted to do was I just wanted to work with youth, even though I was a youth. And so someone gave me an opportunity to work as an intern. So I interned, and then I got a job offer to come out here. And so yeah, that's how I got into it.
Why do you do it is the question that I've been asking everybody else. Like, why do you do ministry?
You know, when I met Jesus for the first time, everything just changed in my life, and I didn't think that I was good enough for it. And so I want to continue to let people know, it's not about how good you are. Jesus he wants a relationship with you. And so what keeps me going is just seeing life change. I constantly want to see people be able to kind of take the blinders off their eyes and be like, oh man, I am worthy. I am worth something. That's the biggest thing for me. So
Like
we're
a
going to see
circle?
some people in a second. Yes.
And there you go. Build a fort. Fortnite.
Oh, he's here.
Insightful.
Oh, he's here.
And here we go.
Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. He got me.
No!
Dang it! I wasn't ready. I got 11.
wasn't ready.
11, and I didn't.
Oh, it's the same. That's the same person that killed Dave. You can do some dance moves too. I figured that out. Choose between those are the only two dance moves I have because I'm a noob. So you were a student at UG.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to work in ministry?
My family moved down here to be a part of Life Point at the beginning. So I've been a part of church since I was a kid. It's just always something that I feel like has been a part of my life, and it's something that I want to keep doing as long as I live.
Isn't it fun talking about deep topics while you're playing?
And I'm like,
oh, you're going. Oh, you're hiding. Sometimes they take you to other places. Like if you go in there, you'll take you to another place. So you just.
That's good to know.
My wife played this game, and you all have done much better than Shannon did with this game. Shannon couldn't get out of the house.
Oh crap.
Oh no!
They keep asking me questions. I'm gonna die. Oh.
Just go. So why do you do it? Why are you doing ministry?
Because I feel like no.
Interview's over. No one cares anymore. It's done. You died.
You didn't even ask me good questions.
Well, you died too quick. So. All right, so as you can tell, some of them have played Fortnite before and some have not played Fortnite at all, but I can say one thing about every single one of those guys is they are wise human beings. And I love what Proverbs 13:20 says about surrounding yourself with wise people. Remember this verse, whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools suffers harm. I want you to know that who you walk with will determine where you walk to. If you surround yourself with fools in your life, you're gonna walk towards foolish things. If you surround yourself with the wise in your life, you're gonna walk towards wisdom. I think some of us need to take an account of the people that are surrounding us each and every day. Even in the midst of COVID-19, what are you watching? Who are you talking to? Who are you listening to day in and day out? Is it wisdom or is it foolishness? And as this COVID-19 continues to go and it keeps moving and moving and moving, and it's like, is this ever gonna end? This might be a new normal for a while. We've been saying it, but not really believing it. And the people we're surrounding ourselves with, even if it's digitally, are the people we're walking with. And so I wanna encourage you students to look at the things around you. Is it wise what you're consuming? Is it wise what you're walking with, what you're living with? And pick your friends wisely. And some of you are like, I don't even know how to make good friends. Well, I was the new kid like 17 times growing up. I moved all the time. And in the most awkward years of my life, middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I was the new kid every single year. And it was like the most awkward thing walking into the lunchroom each year, trying to find where I was gonna sit. And so I had to get really good at making friends and keeping them. And so over the years, I've kind of put together 3 tips for you when I was writing. What are some good tips for you to make good, wise friends? And so I wanna give you these, so go ahead and write them down. The first one is this: communicate, don't gossip. Communicate, don't gossip. I found the quickest way for friends to break up or to not hang out anymore or to just have issues was because one said something behind the other's back. It was a quick no-no to the relationship. It was a quick destruction to the relationship. But I found that all relationships thrive when we chase communication rather than gossip in that relationship. And so I want to encourage you to communicate, don't gossip. If you have an issue with your friend, if they've done something, they've said something about you, or you're just assuming that they have a problem with you or you have a problem with them, go to them and talk to them about it before you go to their friend and talk to them about it. Communicate, don't gossip, and watch that relationship thrive as you're transparent with them and they're able to be transparent with you. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, less is more. Less is more. Get the quality out of relationships, not the quantity. We live in an Instagram culture where we're just looking for how many friends can I make? How many friends can I have at this party? How many friends can I connect with this week? But I want to challenge you to focus more on the quality of your relationships rather than the quantity of them. To focus on not how many friends you have, but focus on how much quality you're giving to the friends you have. Less is more in friendships. Build those friendships up and don't look for the next one. I can remember getting involved in youth ministry for the first time, and I remember my first student conference I went to with a bunch of youth pastors. And I remember just going there trying to make friends in ministry. I was 19 years old. I was kind of intimidated by the room. It was a lot of charismatic, high energy guys that were taking up this room of youth pastors. And I remember going up to multiple youth pastors and just being outgoing, just trying to make a friend, shaking their hand, talking to them about my ministry, hearing about their ministry, hearing about their family, talking about my family. And I can remember a lot of those conversations being more focused by the other guy on the quantity of relationships they made that day rather than the quality of that interaction right then and now. And I can remember shaking guys' hands and they're looking over my shoulder, looking for the next guy that they can connect with rather than focusing in the moment on me. And I felt worthless. I felt like nothing. And I wonder how many of our friends feel that way about how we treat them. Do we constantly look over their shoulder at the next task we have this week, the next thing we want to do, the next person we want to connect with? Are we so comfortable with the people around us that we don't give them the quality of the moment? I want to encourage you to give your friends quality and stop worrying about the quantity and the amount of friends that you have in your life. So less is more in friendships. And then finally, honor them as they honor you. Honor them as they honor you. I've learned so much here at LifePoint, but one of the most amazing things I've learned is just the value of honor. The value of honor. Not treating someone as ordinary, but treating them as extraordinary. It's an extraordinary thing that you have a friend in your life, and we should treat them as such. And I believe that our friendships are going to blossom. They're going to grow the more that we honor one another rather than dishonor one another. Don't treat your friends as ordinary. Treat them as extraordinary. So you're going to move as your friends move. So surround yourself with the right friends in your life. Surround yourself with the right friends in your life. If you have that right friend in your life, I'd love for you to tag them in the comments below. Let them know that you're watching. Get them to watch this video with you. Connect with them during COVID. If there's the right friend in your life and you haven't talked to them in the past 4 months, maybe DM them. Maybe send them a message. Say, hey, man, it's been forever. Let's talk. Let's connect. Let's fight for the good relationships in our life because the wise walk with the wise, but the foolish walk with the foolish. And then finally, the last point I want to make tonight is I encourage you to move in your faith, even in the midst of COVID, is this. You move as you were designed to move. You move as you were designed to move. I truly believe that we were made to grow in our relationship with God. This relationship wasn't meant to be stagnant. It wasn't meant to be still. It wasn't meant to pause, but it was meant to always be growing and developing. Every day, every minute, every second, you're growing in your relationship with God, or you're digressing in your relationship with God. Just like any relationship on this earth. Me and my wife, if I go a few days without talking to my wife, it's probably not gonna be a good week the next week. It's probably not gonna thrive the next week if we just decide we're not gonna talk to each other for a few days. But every single day that me and my wife interact with each other, every single day that we have a conversation, every single day that we do life together, we're growing closer and closer together. And I believe that God has wired you to grow in your relationship with him. And this growth is gonna continue to happen all the way into eternity as we continue to grow closer and closer to God. For some of you, you've been Christians maybe like me, where you began a relationship with Jesus when you were really young. I was 8 years old when I started a relationship with Jesus. Got baptized that year, grew up in a Christian home. My dad was a pastor, a minister. I grew up in churches and sitting in the front row watching my dad preach. This was pretty normal to me, and it kind of became ordinary. I mean, I just kind of treated Jesus like he was any other friend, any other person, and it just kind of became a normal relationship that I didn't give much attention. And I can notice that the moments that I didn't give Jesus that much attention were the moments that I didn't really grow in my relationship with him. I mean, it makes sense, right? But maybe you're like me, and you've just grown up around this your whole life, and you're like, okay, what else do I need to know about God? How else can I grow in my relationship with God? Maybe you've gone on every mission trip you can go on, you've gotten baptized, you've joined the group, you've been serving on the team, and you're like, hey, how in the world do I grow in my relationship with God? I've seen it all. And maybe some of you are feeling that right now. Can I just please just speak into you right now and let you know that you have no idea what God has planned for you. You have no idea what God has planned for his relationship with you. One of my favorite verses of all time is 1 Corinthians 2:9. It says this, however, as it is written, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love him. God has so much in store for you. And the more we press pause and we choose not to move towards it, the more we're forfeiting all these gifts that he wants to give us, all these amazing moments that he wants to give us in our relationship with him. We choose to wait because we think we know what's better. We choose to wait because we think we know what's on the other side of our relationship with God. And so I think even for some of us, we press pause on the journey. We decide not to move because we know, okay, it's gonna be this, or I'm not gonna read my Bible because I've done that before and I'm just not interested in doing it. But what if God wants to teach you something today? What if God wants to speak to you today? What if the creator of the universe, the stars in the sky, the guy who made Saturn and Mars, he wants to talk to you today? And some of us, we decide not to move into that. We'd rather pause and be static in our relationship with him. And I want to encourage you to move as you were designed to move in your relationship with God, because it's just true. He has so much planned for you. He wants to know you. He wants to get to know you better, and he wants you to get to know him better. And he wants this to continue to happen all the way into eternity. He wants to know you. I've shared this story before with you guys, and it's a story of when I was I guess I was 9. I'd just given my life to Jesus, and I'd been following Jesus as a young boy. And I remember my dad was in the garage one day making something he says he was making something out of duct tape. That's like his story, I don't know. But he's working on something in the garage, and he hears me talking to somebody outside. And I'm out in the cul-de-sac riding my scooter around, and he hears me talking to someone, and he hears me going like, whoa, what is that? Did you see that? That was awesome. That's so cool, watch this. And he hears me saying all these things, and he's like, well, who is he talking to? He thought I was out there by myself, so he comes out to I'm by myself, out in the cul-de-sac, just riding my scooter around doing tricks and talking to my imaginary friend. And he walks up to me, he's like, Hayden, who are you talking to? And I went, I'm talking to God. I'm talking to Jesus. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm showing him my tricks. I'm showing him my tricks. I'm doing a bunny hop and he's checking it out. I asked him, I said, hey, if I do this trick and you like it, blow wind in my face. And it did. And that's what I said to him. And I was so just amazed that I could talk to God and I could interact with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. I didn't understand it all when I was 9 years old, clearly. I don't understand it now at 25 years old. But I really do believe that God wants me to go back to that type of faith that I had, that childlike faith when I was 9 years old. When I just talked to God out of pure innocence. When I just engaged with him rather than thinking I've figured it all out with Jesus. I'm moving on from him. I'll press pause on this. I'll get back to my relationship with God later. But being so fascinated with this newfound relationship because I don't know everything about God and he wants to know everything about me. Yes, he designed me, he made me, he knows the hairs on my head. And he's known me before I ever knew him. But he wants me to reveal myself to him. He wants to get to know me as I get to know him. And he wants the same thing for you. And why in the world would we pause when we can move? And so as I'm moving right now and I'm about to take this step away from Life Point Church, I want to encourage all of you to take one step in the midst of COVID closer to Jesus, to take one step and move closer to him. Don't let COVID or anything in this life keep your relationship with Jesus from growing. Rather, live a life in motion with Jesus, starting with a summer in motion with him. I want to encourage you, take a step and move in your relationship with God. Will you pray with me? Dear Jesus, thank you so much for our students. God, thank you so much that we get to move in our relationship with you. God, help us to take the right steps that you want us to take. God, that we wouldn't press pause on the journey, but that we would continue moving closer and closer to you. Students, right now, maybe there's someone watching right now from your living room and you just kind of been engaging with this and you want to move for the first time in your relationship with God. Maybe you've never taken a step close to him. Maybe you've never began a relationship with God. Can I let you know that you can actually start a relationship with him right now? As I'm talking to you through this camera, you can actually say yes to Jesus and begin this journey with him, begin moving with Jesus. And you can remember COVID-19 2020 as the time that you began a relationship with God. Can I give you that opportunity right now? I just want you to say these things to God right now as we're in this atmosphere of prayer. Just simply say this: Dear God, I know I'm not perfect, but I know that you are perfect. I don't understand everything, but God, I want you. I want a relationship with you. This Jesus that I've heard about tonight, I want a relationship with Jesus. I want a relationship with you. God, forgive me of my sin. Forgive me of my mess ups. And God, I'm believing that your son Jesus, his death and his resurrection was enough for me. Say that to him. And God, I'm committing my life to following you. Thank you, Jesus, for saving me. If you said anything like that just now to God, that is the greatest decision you will ever make in your entire life. And we want to know it. So if you can do something, that link I talked about earlier in the service, lifepointnow.com/connect, if you can just go there and let us know that you said yes to Jesus, we want to follow up with you. We want to help you move on your journey with him. And even in the midst of COVID-19, you can come out of this thing better than the way you came in, with a strong, moving relationship with God. Jesus, thank you so much for everyone who just said yes to you. God, thank you for the students watching right now. God, I thank you that we get to move in this relationship. I pray that you help them to take a next step from this video. God, we love you so much. In your name I pray, amen.